So it's the who, what, when, where, why, and how. Like, how are we not going to lose our dang mind when we're trying to get everything out of that house?
Yeah, good.
Welcome to Aging Parent Trap X. This is a podcast and a YouTube channel, and we are talking to you, the Gen Xers out there who are going through dealing with their aging parents and navigating their senior years. It's a tough one. I know personally, I'm going through it. I have been going through it. I help clients go through it with respect to their houses. I'm here with Nikki Flynn with Elite Preparation Services, and what she does is help you prepare legal documents like wills, power of attorneys, trust. And I'm also here with Julie Cook with Generational Transitions, and she helps families find senior living facilities like assisted living, independent living, memory care. And we want you to know that you are not alone, and we are here to talk about it. And today we are talking about what to do with all the stuff in mom and dad's house. So we're talking about the who, what, where, when, why, and how in regards to our parents' house and emptying it out and starting with the why. That's what we're going to start with is why do we have to empty out their house? Did they go to senior living, assisted care, independent care? Did they move out? Did somebody pass away? That's the other one that, we're trying to talk about everybody as they're living, but that's one. But you guys have seen it in your business, and especially Julie, I mean, people say, all right, people are moving out now, so now we got to clear out the house.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right. All of those situations apply. Um, uh, Whether mom and dad can no longer live safely at home, or perhaps they're just lonely, especially if they're widowed and they just need companionship. There's that situation. Of course, there's if someone passes, but all of those situations are things. And then sometimes it may just be financial, where if the home
Mm.
isn't paid for, just the financial weight. And so we have to do something else. And so we have to downsize.
Yeah, and Nikki, I mean, you're getting, people involved with signing documents, trust, power of attorney. Now somebody else is making decisions for mom or dad or mom and dad. They have to,
Yeah,
yeah,
well, I mean, you see it in the preemptive part where sometimes the parents are completely capable and they're still coherent and they're lucid and they're able to start making their own decisions that when they're putting these documents in place, it's something that we talk about ahead of time and just let them know like, okay, maybe it's time to start cleaning and going through things. Part of doing that estate plan is not just marking down the memorable things that you want to give to certain family members, but also keeping things very neat and tidy and organized so that way the family knows where to go to find certain documents and valuables and things that they are being told that they need to go and locate in the event something happens to their parents when they become incapacitated. So it's kind of like a catch 22. We either do it beforehand where you have control of doing it, or
right.
it happens when the kids are having to do it and you have no more control, and now they're left with, well, I don't even know how half of this stuff got accumulated. I don't know what to keep. I don't know where to begin.
Yeah, right. So it's a why, when kind of combo situation because why are we doing it? In my case, I had to do it because my mom fell one day, basically. We've talked about that story before, and then left, went to the hospital and never, ever, ever came back. She went straight to assisted living after some rehabilitation. And I had to deal with, the house and all the contents of the house. So that was the why, when, um, and it was because of that particular situation. But the win is also like how fast do we need to take care of that? Because everybody's situation is going to be different. And if you're under the gun because you have to empty it to sell it or empty it to rent it, or, maybe you can just take your time, and time is a good thing to have when you're doing it because you are going through a lot of stuff.
And
Um,
the when too, Allison, may also
well, yeah, the
factor in.
why went.
Yeah, with someone who's moving into a senior living community, oftentimes those apartments are unfurnished. The point
Mm,
of that being, we
you're encouraged to bring your personal belongings, bring that favorite recliner, bring those family photos so that it feels like home. It's just a new chapter, but that's your home. And so that factors in too, is we may not
Right.
be ready to downsize everything, but we've got to pick the most important things because our parent has to move.
Well, and that goes into the what. I mean, with all of this, and this is why it's so hard for us to navigate this and do it um in a structured way, is that it's all kind of being thrown at us all at the same time. You're making multiple decisions all at the same time. We just went through the why, the when, and the now we're going into the what, but it's all happening at the same time because if they have to move to assisted living, you got to take some of their stuff with them. So you got to go through the what stuff, like what are they going to keep? What are they going to donate? What are they going to sell? I mean, those are some of the things you have to do while they're going, for the to the when and the why. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And so, making this is why it's uh how are you going to do this without losing your, and I said dang mind, but we all know it could be something else. You just lose your mind because 40 years or more of accumulated stuff in a house, because I just say 40 years because I'm talking about one house, but we're talking a lifetime of stuff. So it's 70 plus years of stuff, but maybe only in that one house for 40 years. I, you know, how do you decide the what and the how kind of go together as well. How and what do you decide to keep, donate, sell? How do you do that? Tell me your experiences in working with people and how you help them.
So I can say from experience that it is stressful and it is draining, completely exhausting. So I think you need to go into it with those expectations. The families who come in and in one weekend, we're going to knock this out. Bless your heart, you're going to be exhausted if you make that happen.
It's
So
emotional.
it's super
It's
emotional.
physically taxing, but it's very emotionally taxing
Yes.
because you start to open up the photo albums or that one drawer that you didn't know that mom stashed all the, little things that you made as a kid or whatever it is, or the pictures when they were younger, and you get
Mm.
stuck in looking at all this stuff.
Yep.
Um, I'm not
And I
saying
think
that's
that's
a
part of
bad
the
thing, I'm just
process.
saying it's a thing, it's a process.
Yeah, and I think that's therapeutic. If you're in a situation where there's big changes for your loved ones and it's therapeutic to stop for a minute and look through those pictures and laugh and cry and enjoy all of that. That's part of the process and it's important to take the time to do that instead of just rush rush rush. We got to get this done. So I think that's the first step is to know this is exhausting. Maybe plan to do we're going to hit it for a couple of hours and then we're going to go get lunch and then just take a break for a minute to pace yourself through the process. The other thing that I would recommend from my perspective is to start with the low emotional items. Start in the bathroom, start in the garage. Don't start at the family photos. Don't
Oh,
start there. Pace yourself, build up to that, and then know that it's going to be emotional. And if your parent is up to it, involve them in it because this is their belonging. Sometimes it may be too much for them, but be sensitive to including them in the process.
Nikki, you did this not too long, I mean, I'm not sure exactly
Mm.
how long ago it was, but you
3
personally.
years ago.
Oh, it was 3 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yeah, 3 years ago when I was cleaning out my dad's house after he passed, so that was a little rough, only because I think it's like you go through the grieving process as you're going through those things. So like Julie said, it's kinda hard to not see those photos and like have that emotional toll or look at stuff that you had like I found a letter that I wrote to him like many 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 years ago. I think I was like 18 years old and the fact that he still kept it like it was something. So it plays its toll and you have to go through it and I feel like it helps you grieve for sure. But it's still not fun and you like you said you want to save that part for last. My husband would come in the room sometimes and be like, "Why don't I hear you doing anything?" And I'm just like sitting on the bed, like sobbing, and
Oh,
he's like,
no.
and I'm like looking at like photos, and he's like, "Oh God." Why are you doing that? Like, just let's go. Cause it was a 3-hour drive for us too.
Mm.
So it was a trip every time we had to go up there. So it was like, go up there, do as much as you can, bring it back with you, and then sort it. And then you could take your time and go through it. It's not like it has to be done right then and there. But then, then you're like, oh, you want to save everything. And then you get home and you're like, oh my God, what was I thinking? Am I going to save all this?
Well, that's true, and I did kind of that thing when I was in charge of doing it for my mom's house. I really, um I put things in categories, basically. The things that I knew that we didn't need anymore, right? So some of the furniture, um, was it in good enough condition to donate, um, or did it need to be taken away? To the dump. I know that sounds so heartless because it's somebody's personal belongings, right? But
Right.
most of the furniture we were able to either have someone pick up. There are lots of charitable uh, organizations that will come and get things, but they're getting more and more picky. And so you think that they'll come, they'll say they'll ask you what they're gonna come get, and they'll get there and they'll go, I'll take this, that, and the other thing. And you're like, okay, but I still have, you won't take this, and they won't take it. It's great shape, but they don't have any customers for it. Like Habitat for Humanity, they have stores and they resell things, and they just know when they just don't have the need for another armoire or whatever it is, or a china cabinet or whatever. So they won't take that away. So then you have to make arrangements. So I dealt with the bigger things first. Um, and clothing items and tchotchkes that did not have sentimental meaning. So basically anything that didn't have sentimental meaning, I basically tried to go through that at first. And then I did save the papers and the photos and all of that. I kept putting them in piles. And some of that stuff, and that was um about 2.5 years ago. Are in bins in my garage right now. And my husband keeps, saying, when are you going to go through that stuff? But I don't want to open it. It's like opening to go through it again. And this time I'm going to need to I'm never going to throw away the photos, but there are things I'm going to have to make a decision about that I couldn't make before. I just eventually had to get everything out so that we could move on with the process. But it took months. And I also had a drive, not as long as your drive, but I was also I was doing it mostly by myself. So I highly recommend that people kind of organize stuff, go through it uh, in categories, but kind of we're going to the how a little bit, which is, do you hire someone to help you? Do you, have an estate, salesperson help you? That might be a good do you try and sell things on Facebook, yourself? I mean, what do you guys think about that?
All of the above. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's because not everything is gonna go to one specific place. So and that's the part that is time consuming that people don't understand. Whether it's going through things because somebody has passed away, or going through things because somebody needs to downsize or is going into a facility, there's still gonna be certain people that need to do certain things, and that is all tasked on the family members or the family friend, whether they have documents or they don't have documents in place. Like, there's one specific person who falls, whose shoulders get all of this responsibility placed on, and they have to figure out what was meant to be important, what was meant to be passed down without any guidance, without any direction, any notes of things that they're wanting. It's very tough because you don't know what that is. And even if it's a child going through their parents' stuff, like, there's some things, I mean, think about it, from our mid-teen years until our adult years, we didn't know their every waking move. We didn't know all the things that were important to them. If there were certain memorable things, sentimental things that maybe they got from other family members, we don't know those things because we were building our life and living our life. So there's pieces where we don't know, we can't fill in that gap. So it's always going to be better for the family to be able to do it, or at least give us guidance to help us. Otherwise, that's kind of what happens, is the family just has to figure out what they think is important, what they think somebody wants, and kind of figure it out from there.
I know you recommend something, Julie, to your families, and that's kind of the blue tape method or the sticky note method.
Yeah, absolutely. Our company in the past has helped people actually with downsizing and organizing and moving. And so that's one of the things we would do is suggest that they get just sticky notes or some blue tape and walk through the house. Ideally, with your aging parent, or maybe the family does it if someone's stepping in to help sell items and say, these are the things that we want to keep, or these are the things that my parent wants. So that way they know what's off limit, at least gives you a starting point on where to go with all of that.
Yeah, some of the stuff that's gonna make you lose your mind a little bit is, the guilt that some parents will put on the children about, "You must keep this item. You must keep this, thing that was important to them, but is not really important to you," and I struggle with that personally because, uh, my mom liked to have what some people would consider antiques, but not collectible things, really. I mean, she liked them, but some of them were broken and, nothing super valuable. Nothing came out of that house that was, gonna be on what's that show? Antique Roadshow? Nothing was going to be on Antique Roadshow. Let me make that clear. So in my eyes, it was just something I'm just gonna be transporting the problem to my kids in the future if I take this stuff to my house and keep it so that I don't feel guilt, but I feel anger. And, that's what some of the Gen Xers, and I'll say it because, a lot of people aren't comfortable saying that this process can really upset them. It is emotional, but you'll go through a wide range of, don't guilt me, mom, like, don't my mom said to me, "You can never ever get rid of the, spinning wheel." I mean, what am I gonna do with the spinning wheel? And I don't collect antiques. I had 4 kids in my house, so nothing ever stayed nice
Mm.
for very long, and, it would get broken or whatever, so, and I feel guilt about it. I have it. I have it. I it's in my garage. I don't know what to do with it, but you're going to experience these things and it's okay to you're not going to be able to get out of this without experiencing some kind of, emotion about the whole process. I can't imagine. But yes, if you're able to do it or have if families could do it in advance of any problems happening, any sickness, moving, and that it would make it so much easier on the people that end up doing the heavy lifting, so to speak.
I
Yeah.
agree. And I think one thing, Ellison, that you talked about that I want to just reemphasize is the guilt of it. My mom passed away 25 years ago.
Oh
And
my
I
goodness.
still vividly remember she had beautiful clothes and we didn't know what to do with them. So the right thing to do seemed like to donate them, let somebody else enjoy them. And I remember 25 years later carrying my mom's clothing to the thrift store, putting it in the container and feeling like I've just given away. It was the guilt and the grief was horrible. And
Yeah.
I still vividly remember that. So I think that's important to, as we talk about, you want to just be normal. And so I think it's important for people to understand this process. You're going to feel guilt. You're going to feel grief that comes in waves, even if someone hasn't passed, just because a season and a chapter has passed. And so
Right.
there's all these emotions that you're going to deal with. And that's okay. It's normal. And sometimes it's just nice to know, even if you're doing a good thing, you're donating things, you're selling things so that the money can go to help your parents, there's still all these emotions attached to it.
It's so true. The thing for me right now, and my mom is still alive, she's in an assisted living thing, but there was something that I remember growing up with. And we moved around quite a bit and finally settled in Florida. But so this thing came with us, and this thing was a glass bell. It was a bell. It was clear, it was like rose colored bell that and it was made out of all glass and you go ding 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 and it wasn't tiny tiny. It was, about this big, about as big, a little bigger than your hand. And that was displayed everywhere. And when I was like, what am I going to do with this? I donated it. Uh, and it haunts me. Again, it wasn't valuable.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I should have kept that bell. But like, what, we go, I think about that bell probably a couple times a week.
Isn't that
A
crazy? But
and if
it's
we didn't laugh
real.
about it, we would cry about it all the
Yeah.
time, but that's part and where would I put that bell right now?
Yeah.
I don't have a spot for it. We
Yeah.
don't display things in my house like my mom displayed things, you
Mhm.
know?
They had the Cheerio
The
cabinets and
Yeah,
curio with the
yeah,
glass.
curio, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the china,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah.
That only comes out once or twice a year, the china, and it's not in a china cabinet here, but I just I don't know. We all are going to, this is why we're talking about it, because you are not alone with all of this, so let's check this out. So we've done the kind of garage sales, by the way. I mean, that's another thing that you could do. And you can do that while mom and dad are still living in the house. And have them be an active participant in that. Not that they have to, it's hard, but they could get rid of some of the stuff that's not super meaningful,
Yeah.
right?
Those garage
Yeah.
items, the low emotional items, the bike
Yes.
they haven't ridden in 10 years, let's part ways with it. You know?
Yes. Yeah. So the how, so
Mm,
picking through organizer, estate sale. Sometimes people that do those estate sales, I'm trying to find a really good contact in the area, and they're hard. It's like a house cleaner. Like you'll find a good one and then they disappear. You find a good one and do you guys find that too? I don't know what your experience has been, Nikki, but I think Julie had
mm.
that experience. I know.
I I've dealt with the consignment stores,
Mm,
but I haven't had any, like, the estate people. I know people just have estate sales and they
right.
put it in the newspaper and stuff like that, but I haven't had any encounters with, like, estate people
I
who
can't track them
specifically
down.
handle that. Yeah.
I have
I
had
mean,
contact with some people who that's their specialty is to help
right.
with estate sales. And so I can get that information. We can put it in the comments for the people in the greater Tampa area.
That's
Um,
perfect.
and that's a great resource. Again, the brunt of this falls to the family and to the close friends. But if you're just exhausted, you're running out of time, and you say, "Okay, I'm keeping this, this, and this. Everything else, please sell for me." It takes some pressure off.
Yeah. Well, so we did the when, which is how fast mom and dad move. Uh, Sadly, if somebody has passed away. The what are we keeping, donate, sell, sort, picking through all this stuff. Okay, so now we get into the who. We kind of touched on the who a little bit. We touched on the who a little bit by, saying some family, some friends, but the who is really something we're going to talk about in the next time that we get together and talk, because oh my gosh. You can be an only child and do it like myself, or you can have several brothers and sisters and everybody helps out all at the same time and everybody's gets along really well, or you can have someone who wants nothing to do with the entire process. So we want to talk about the who and the dynamics about that next time that we get together. In the meantime, please look for us on all of the places where you would find your podcast: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and we, of course, are on our YouTube channel, Aging Parent Trap X.